So, yesterday I got a comment on the channel. Someone was asking, how do we, well, let me just read it. Here we go. Okay. Lil Bonsai. Sure, I'm messing that up. Says, thank you very much for this helpful video. This is a video on MLA citation. It informed me on just about everything I need to know to cite my project correctly. I haven't actually checked, but have you done a video on how to correctly do hanging indent? If not, I would also really appreciate that too. Anyway, thank you again for the helpful video. The reason, Lil Bonsai, that I haven't responded yet is I was like, you know what? I should just make this video. So, here we go. Alright, so I made a sample. MLA page, and I figured I'd do two things at once. In this video, I want to show you how to do a block quote, and I want to show you how to do hanging indent, both using MLA style. So first, let's handle the block quote. Block quote is when you have a really long quote, and you have to indent it. So, I have a sample quote here. So, this right here is the quote. You can tell that the quote starts and stops because it's got the quotation mark here and here, and it's kind of long, right? And kind of the unofficial rule, official rule, whatever. It's like if it's about 4 lines, you probably want to do something different. So what I'm going to do is I'm in the current version of Microsoft Office. It's probably going to be similar if you're using a different word processing program, but hopefully this is transferable anyway. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and the program automatically indented it, but I need to indent this 2 times. So I'm going to hit enter again, or sorry, I'm going to hit tab on my keyboard, and so it indented it, but it still kept the first indent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to where the rest of it is flush right here on the document. And I'm going to go ahead and indent again. And now everything is flush with 1, 2 indents. And so that is now almost there, all the way. This right here is not part of my quote, so I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to justify it all the way over to the left. But there's a couple other things I have to do a correct block quote for MLA. When you're doing a quotation, we know you have to put quotation marks at the beginning and at the end, but MLA feels that it's redundant if you're doing a block quote to keep quotation marks. Why? Because by indenting it twice, it's already clear there's nothing else in MLA that's indented twice except for quotes. So you have to go in and go ahead and delete both of these quotation marks, and you take the end punctuation, which should go after the citation, which in this case is Larson, page 1, and then you stick it at the end of the actual quote. So what I did again was I hit enter to put on a separate line. I indented it twice using the tab key on my keyboard. Then I went down to where the rest of the paragraph was. I hit indent. I made sure that only the quote was indented, and I took off quotation marks at the beginning and end, and I moved the end punctuation to the end of the quote, not the end of the citation. Again, yay MLA for making things confusing and difficult for us. But that is what a block quote should look like. Now, me personally, I don't like block quotes. For younger writers, if you're starting to get a super long quote, it's oftentimes because of a bad habit. They don't usually have a good reason. I say usually. They don't usually have a good reason to have a really long quote, because what they fail to do is introduce and explain what they're quoting very well, and it just looks like copying and pasting a book into a document to fill up space. So if you're going to have a long quote, make sure you justify the length of the quote with a really good explanation of what it is you're quoting, and don't assume that your reader knows the significance of it, right? Because again, the purpose of an academic paper is not to republish someone else's work. It's to put it in the light, the perspective that you're adding to it. So, at least in this case when you do something like this. Let's talk about hanging indents. Okay, so what I did is I went to this is a great resource. The Purdue OWL website it's a great source for citation. I would totally encourage you to go to it. They have a sample MLA works cited page. I just copied and pasted it into this document. So if you want to get there, it's at this link here. But instead of me making up my own sources, what I did was I took the hanging indent off of it. So what we see is just looks like a mess, right? It's hard to tell where sources start and stop. So if you want to do a hanging indent, which is I'm going to have the second, third, fourth subsequent lines for each source indented, because all the way to the left, we're justified all the way to the left. It's backwards. Anyway, all the way to your left. The beginning is going to be alphabetized, but so. Okay, so here is the first source, right? I can do this a couple different ways. I can just go to where the source starts. I can hit enter to make sure that any formatting I do doesn't affect other things. And then I can hit tab. There you go. That is the manual way of doing it, but it's not necessarily the best way. So I undid that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to click and select my entire works cited page, and whoop, it goes longer because I need this to be done to all of them, right? Okay, so I've selected all these hypothetical sources, and I can do this a couple different ways. I can right click if you have right click enabled. If you're using a Mac or PC, it's always going to be enabled. And then you go down to paragraph, and it's going to open up the options that you need. Or you can just go up to the top and go to format and then paragraph. Same thing. Both ways. Okay, so you're going to see some options here: indents and spacing, line and page breaks. You see that there is some indentation that was already there. I'm not going to mess with that. All I want to do is go to where it says special, click on this, and I can choose the first line to be indented, or I can choose a hanging indent. Hanging indent is everything except the first line. So I'm going to click on this. I see a preview of what it looks like here. That's what I want it to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And then it automatically did it. So I took it for all my sources, and it did that. Now that indent thing, that's because I copied it. I can fix that on this page too. Sorry, the other thing where it had this, I just put that back to 0. So it's flush with everything. But okay, so real fast again, if you need to do a hanging indent on something like a works cited page for MLA, you just select your text, you right click, you go to paragraph, or you can go on the other way, and you make sure under indentation you've selected special hanging, and I imagine it's going to put it in for a 1/2 inch. Alright, so that is a real quick video. I hope that this was helpful. If you like this video, please like it, please share it. If you're a teacher, please give it to your students to help out. I appreciate those who watch the channel and those who comment, and if you have more questions or requests, please let me know. I'd be glad to do more videos like this and help you out in the future. Thanks a lot. See you in the next one.